Hi there, my name's Carolyn Dunn and I'm a dot mandala artist and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about dotting tools. We're going to make a mock-up board of all the different sizes that we can make with our tools. This is one I did years ago to reflect colors and tool sizes. As someone who is just getting into dot art, these are probably the tools that you might have. They sell kits that have the nail stylus tools and acrylic rods. And these are the crystallite crochet hooks that you use the ends of these for dotting tools. With the acrylic rods, again, because there are different manufacturers, so you might not be 100% sure you're getting the same. I've documented here the size of my tools, but really just go in and measure your tool. And you want to see how many millimeters across your tool is. And that's going to give you an idea, and as well you can compare with some of the other tool sets that we have when you do your mock-up board. The crystallite crochet hooks, they are identified on the end here. It's clear, so it's a little bit hard to see. It'll tell you how many millimeters it is, 10 millimeters, and it gives it a letter. So this is letter N. But you can see along here, the numbers are identified right on the tools. I am missing the smallest one there. And the nail stylus tools, green, blue, white, pink, yellow is the normal progression, but not all tool sets are alike. You may get a set that is different in sizing from mine. So it's best to, when we do our mock-up board, you can dot with your tools and determine what size they are in comparison to other tool sizes. For this set, the green would be 3 millimeters, the blue would be 2.5, white 2.0, pink 1.0, yellow 0.5. I am trying to, in my videos now, use the millimeter size as well as the color, just so that if your tools are different, you can go by the millimeter size. So those are your starting tools. Okay, now that we've looked at the beginner's tools, let's look at some tool sets that are out there. These are just the ones that I have, and there are many out there. So I started off with the DIY Mandala Stones tools, and I loved them. I really, really loved them. But then Happy Dotting Company came out with their tool set. And what I love about them is that they are clearly identified on there. So if you're doing tutorials like I do, it's great because the student can hear me say whatever size tool it is and can actually see it as well. And it's in the millimeter size. So in these other sets, it just sort of identifies that number in the run of that set. But these are actually the millimeter size of the dot that's going to make. And then I have Mark's Mandala's tools. My husband really likes these ones. And I've got all of these tools lined up so that you can see which ones sort of equate to the ones in the other sets. And then of course we've got our stylus tools here. I just wanted you to see that there are other tools that can make the same size of dots as the stylus tools. So if you prefer to use these for walking the dots or whatever, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so my favorite, the Happy Dotting Company tools, and these, I compare them the same as far as the dots that they make, but the added bonus with these is the numbers on them identifying the exact millimeter size. Okay, so there's no conversions or anything like that. They also have S2 and S4, so it's like the dotting tools, a 4 millimeter tool and a 2 millimeter tool. And then they have the ellipse tool that makes sort of an oval shape, and we can see that when we do our mock-up board. Okay, and that's the dotting tools I'm showing you today. If you go onto Etsy, onto the Espressly for You, I'll leave the information in the details. They do have a conversion chart. It does convert the DIY, Happy Dotting Company, Color My Soul, Mark's Mandala, the Dotting Center, Otana, Easy Mandala Tools, Crystallite crochet hooks, and the Transfer Punch set. And I have the Transfer Punch set as well. I bought that fairly early on. I don't use it very often, but it's a great set. It's nice and weighty. It's up to you, your preference, whatever you get used to working with, actually. So those are the tools for the bigger dots that I use. In order to clean your tools, warm soapy water is good. The best thing really is have a wipe, or, I wear this sock with the toe cut out on my arm as a sleeve, and I just wipe it on there. You have white baby wipes, a moist microfiber cloth I use a lot as well, and just wipe them off right after you use them. That is the best way to keep them clean. But if they do build up, I do sometimes use rubbing alcohol, but it's a quick, rub it with the rubbing alcohol and rinse it off right away. I would never ever soak them in that. I don't actually soak them in anything. I just typically wipe them off right away, and then if they eventually need a good cleaning, I'll use warm soapy water. Okay, let's talk about nail styluses or ball tip tools. These are the most common ones you're going to see on Amazon and whatnot. Now, typically, the sizes related to these colors are green as 3.0 millimeter, blue 2.5 millimeter, white 2.0 millimeter, pink 1.0 millimeter, and yellow 0.5 millimeter. Unfortunately, there are many different manufacturers now, and you don't always know that you're getting that set of tools. So in my previous videos, I've always referred to the color of the tool, but in future I will refer to the color and the millimeter size as well, just in case your tools aren't the same size as mine. So just check to see what size your daughters are, so you can know what millimeter size they each make. And you can practice this on the Mockup Board for sure. It's great to practice and get to know your tool sizes, especially in the beginning, because if you're doing a tutorial or following someone, you really want to be exact, right? Because you don't have that experience to make the judgment yet. So these tools here are the sizes that I normally have. The other tools that I use are these green stuff world tools. The only thing with these is they are not numbered, so you just sort of have to arrange them in size. To be honest with you, I use that one sometimes because it is bigger than the green tool, the 3 millimeter tool, but I often use this tool because it's a very, very fine tip. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It's a nice fine tip, and the other end is quite small as well. Those are basically the nail stylus tools. Now the thing with the stylus tools, and even the other tools, you're not going to get exactly the same dot as someone else necessarily, because it depends on other factors as well. It depends on how much paint that you have on your tool. It depends on how much pressure you use to apply that paint. It depends on whether or not you maybe dot down a couple of times, which allows more paint to flow down onto that dot. If you just kiss the surface, you'll get one size of dot. If you plunk that right down, you'll get another size. It also depends on the consistency of the paint. So there are variables, and all we can do is go in with sort of a consistent approach. And through practice, you'll start to develop consistent dots and consistent sizing in the dots. And you know what? Not always. I can tell you that for sure. So that's the nail styluses or ball-tipped tools. So these are some other tools that you will find helpful when you are dotting. And these are fine tip tools. And you can see, let me arrange them like that. These ends here, very fine tips. And these are small as well on that end. So they are great for dragging swooshes or tucking a swoosh end into a tight spot. This one here I got from the Dollar Tree, and it comes in a set of 2, so it's a great deal. fabulous for popping bubbles, and for sometimes when you make a dot, it doesn't end up being perfectly circular. And so you can just take this and go along the edge to make any flat edges more of a circular edge. So again, you'll want to invest in something like that. You could use a toothpick, you could use, I don't know, the end of a nail or whatever. You want to be careful you're not going to scratch anything, but I mean, they're great. And again, you can dot with so many things around your house that you don't need to invest in tool sets if you're not ready. If you just want to try out dotting, you could use a Q-tip, you could use the end of a pencil, the end of a screw. Oh my gosh, there's just so many things that you could use. Whatever's going to make a nice flat round dot, use it. Look around your house and then you can try it out. These are some of my favorite tools, and sadly I use them a lot. So they have silicone ends, and I find they are great for cleanup in aisle 9. So if you slop some paint, you can just go like that and pick that paint off. If your circle is not entirely circular, sometimes you can push the end in, and that's all you need to do. You have a dot that didn't work out, just take it off. I use this first always. I use this, and you can keep it, maintain it within that space and get it off, and I wipe it off on a wipe or a moist cloth, and then I might use a Q-tip if I need to clean up. And then the other thing I will do is I take my fine liner brush, and if it needs it, I'll touch up with black paint before I go back in with the dot. That's particularly important if you have dots that are close together, because you don't want any of that. If your base coat is black but you've got a little bit, a touch of white or something like that, you want that off. You don't want that to show in between your dots, and better to do that now than afterwards when you have the dots in there. It's really tough to get that out. You can also create with these. You can create dots that are a different shape and size. So you just fool around with them and see what you can come up with. Again, love these tools for cleanup, and you'll I don't always, sometimes I edit it out. Can you imagine when I've made a mistake? But in some of my videos, you can see where I've used these to tidy up a mistake, because they happen. Now, to lay out my mock-up board, I used MDF, but you could use paper. I marked mine down the left-hand side with the type of tools, and along the top with the sizes. Okay, let's start dotting. And we're going to start with the DIY tool in the 0.5, which is, the number 1 tool. And then the number 2, which is 1 millimeter, switching ends here. And now we'll speed this up a bit. I just made those little boxes big enough, didn't I? Okay, so that's the DIY. Okay, Happy Dottie Company tools. 0.5. Okay, that's the Happy Dotting Company tools. And now we'll do the Mark Mandala's tools, my husband's favorites. And then I have a C and a D. C and D. All right, nail styluses. Okay, so I'd like to start with the set that I always work with. So my green should be 3 millimeters, which is here. Now watch when I put lots of paint on there. See the difference in size? Okay, here's the blue tool. I have to say, I'm not really used to going by the millimeters, and I should, I absolutely should. I'm just not used to it. So the blue is 2.5 millimeters. So we're going down, okay? And there's our blue dot. Let's put a lot of paint on that. You see, there's just so many sizes you can get out of each one of these tools. The white is 2 millimeters. And so there's if you just put in your dot. And here is if we throw on a lot of paint. Okay, okay, paint tool, 1 millimeter. Paint tool, lots of paint. And then we'll get down to the yellow tool. Yellow tool, dot. Yellow tool, lots of paint. So I will in future videos refer to these not only by the color, but by the millimeters. Because if you have a different tool set that the colors don't correspond, you just need to know the millimeter size. All right, say with the yellow tool, I really want that to be a bigger dot because, and I don't know why I wouldn't use a larger size, but let's just say I wanted a really big dot with that yellow tool. I could do that. Lots and lots of paint on there and let that come down. And you get a bigger size dot. White is the 2 millimeters, lots and lots of paint. And see how I'm tapping to let more paint down? Okay, so that's the difference between this being the actual size that this tool should create for you, and this being a little more paint, and this being a lot more paint. And last but not least, the Green Stuff World Tool. Okay, I'm just going by dotting here because I don't have a chart or anything. No numbers came on this tool. And so I'm just gonna, with this large end here, I feel it's gonna be about a 4 millimeter dot. The other end, I think will be 3.5. So then we'll come down to this one, which I bet will be 3 millimeter. Okay, so that gives you an idea, and it's a good idea to do something like this so that you can get an understanding of what the sizes mean, get familiar with your tools and what tool is going to give you what size of dot. And again, remember all the variables. Your paint consistency, how much paint you have on your tool, how much you allow it to drop, whether or not you just kiss the surface or whether you plant that tool right down onto it. And even if you tap it a couple of times, because that's going to allow more paint down. So there you go. Those are the tool sizes. Let's try out that ellipse tool from Happy Dotting Company. That looks more like it. So lots of different tools, lots of different sizes of dots, a little more consistency so we can see what we're working with. Okay, and I think I was just going to demonstrate using the nail styluses to walk some dots. So if we were to start with the smallest, which is the 0.5 millimeter tool, and we'll make our first dot here, and then we'll walk the dots around. Move on to the white tool. And the blue. And then the green tool. And you can see how here we started with the 0.5. Now we can go up now to the pink tool, which is 1.0, and make a larger dot here. Okay, and then we can walk those dots down. And you sort of progress in size. So now let's move on to the white tool. I probably don't have enough room to do them all. Blue tool. We won't get to the green. Okay, so you can see how that progresses out nicely, and with the different size of tools. You could do it all with the same size tool, or if you want it to expand and grow out like that, increase in size, then increase your tool size as you go up. Okay, you might, this one here was the white tool, the 2.0 millimeter tool. Well, let's say I want to still use that white tool, but I'm going to create 2 dots and 1 dot, and then bring that down. And so you can get a more peaked sort of look there. Sorry about that 1 dot. And then you may choose to do a swoosh alongside. So let's say here you wanted to come down with a swoosh. And you can do it with whatever size tool you want to. It all depends on the look that you're going for. This one here, just put a dot there, and then drag your swoosh around. Make sure you get lots of paint to do that. Okay, all sorts of patterns that you can do using a basic set of tools. The other thing I wanted to add is just how to use the basic acrylic rods for dotting. I won't put them all on, but let's look at some of them. And you just want to come straight up from above. Here's an example of the crochet hook. Now, if they get anything around their edges, they won't give you a nice smooth edge. All is not lost if you get something like that. Just pull out your handy dandy little needle tool and round out that flat edge. And say one of the smaller rods here. This board is great because you can compare dot sizes. If you have a tool here and, you know, is that a 16, a 17? Just compare it with the other ones and you'll get kind of close. And it's not an exact science here. Definitely not. Okay, there you go, caught up. So thanks again. I hope you find this helpful. Let me know if there are any other tips and tricks that you're interested in. Again, I hope that helps and hope to see you at the next one. Thanks for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing. I'd appreciate it. And remember, keep on dotting.